Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second day of the 2025 Virtual Summer School. The Summer School is presented in collaboration with SRPLN, which is the Southern Region Program Leaders Network, and NAE PSDP. I know it's alphabet soup, the National Association of Extension Program and Staff Development Professionals. The Summer School consists of 5 total webinars, one webinar every day for a full week, and today is our second day. And it's such a treat for y'all too. Today we have Dr. Julie Robinson and Rita Watson presenting their webinar entitled Engaging Traditional and Non-Traditional Audiences with Virtual Field Trips. As we go along the presentation, if you have questions along the way, feel free to drop them in the chat and we'll work on addressing those after Dr. Robinson and Rita are completed. With that said, I give you the floor.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Benj. Hello and welcome to our virtual summer school session where Rita and I are going to get the opportunity to share with you what we've been doing with virtual field trips to engage, like Matt said, those traditional and non-traditional audiences and some of the different ways that we've been using the technology and the tools to really build out our capacity here with the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture. And so just real quick introductions. I'm a professor here with the UA System Division of Ag, and Rita is a program associate, but her specialty, her subject matter area of expertise is virtual education. So you're really going to learn a lot from her today. But before we kind of launch into the tools that we're using and how we're using them, we kind of wanted to provide a little bit of history about the series. So how we engage those non-traditional and traditional audiences through virtual field trips, it kind of goes all the way back to 2012, whenever we first started using Zoom. So I know by this point, I feel like most of us know what Zoom is. We know what Microsoft Teams are. You know, these are video conferencing platforms. But in 2012, with the UA System Division of Agriculture, our, at that time, IT director, Sam Boyster, heard an advertisement on morning talk radio one morning on his way to work, talking about this platform called Zoom. And they were running actually a sale because they were a new company. And so he thought, well, let's give that a shot. You know, it seems like a reasonable price point. And we used Zoom for a few different things. But whenever we first started using Zoom, yes, it was for video conferencing, but it was also for the screen share capability for a lot of our support units to be able to show people and see what our folks that needed help across the state, like our county agents and program assistants, what they were seeing on their screen, what they should be seeing on their screen, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, 2012, we started using Zoom. And so over time, and some of the tools and features that we're going to talk about today is really how AI has, and the advancement of tools like video conferencing have really helped us be able to extend our reach and increase our capacity and reach some of those newer and non-traditional audiences through the technologies that we have available to us. So another program, there again, just kind of continuing a little bit with our history lesson and giving some context. In 2014, we introduced the Soybean Science Challenge, which is a program here in Arkansas funded by our Arkansas Soybean Promotion Board, where we have cash awards for students, high school students that participate in regional and state science fair. And so we are trying to do kind of workforce development, introducing them to careers as far as soybeans, agriculture, but also connecting that with science outside of the traditional agri-science classrooms. Nothing wrong. I love agri-science classrooms. I took agri-science classes, but also helping just general science. Teachers and students understand that agriculture is all the sciences. So we had Soybean Science Challenge, and so we were trying to think of ways that we could extend our reach and show them, get them out in a field. Well, feasibly, we can't bring hundreds of high school students all across the state to a soybean field. So how can we bring the soybean field to them? So that's where we introduced the concept of a virtual field trip. So we went live with our very first virtual field trip in September of 2014. You can see it there on the screen. It was in the morning. And so actually, a shout out to our Arkansas 4-Hers that were 4-Hers in 2014. They were actually our first test beta testers, our test audience. So we coordinated with our state 4-H department and we invited a bunch of 4-Hers from across the state to actually join us for our very first virtual field trip. It focused on nematodes, microscopic worms. If kids like anything, it's, gross, squirmy things. So it was about nematodes, and this was actually before Zoom had a webinar feature. Okay. So this was all done via Zoom meeting. So, I mean, we were constantly muting microphones and, nobody was doing anything malicious, but, we're all just kind of learning the technology and the platform. So anyway, our very first virtual field trip, September of 2014 to 4-Hers, and after a fairly successful test run, but also learning what we needed to fix and what we needed to change. We then offered more virtual field trips. Another one the next year, Gardens of the Galaxy. We actually we had lab tours on that one at our UA Fayetteville campus as part of the UA system. We were in some of the laboratories and greenhouses up there. But then we also streamed in, there again, more advanced at this point. Zoom had created its webinar platform, and we could have more and more hosts on those webinar platforms. And so we actually zoomed in NASA, who talked about their veggie program. And so that was why you can see kind of a space theme going on there. We continued on having these virtual field trips as part of Soybean Science for a couple of years, about 3. But it was not something, we had not refined the process to the point, and the tools and the capabilities of the platform that we were using weren't quite there yet. And it was a really big lift, like every single time. It took a lot of personnel, hours, time, and effort. And so therefore that equates to dollars. And so it just wasn't feasible to do that. And so we were always looking for opportunities to offer more virtual field trips, but make them so much more commonplace that just designing, developing, and implementing and delivering one wasn't a huge, financial burden. So that was whenever we came across some NRCS funding, and we explained the concept, showed them some of the recording, some of our NRCS folks the recording, and they said, yeah, why don't you submit a funding proposal? And we did. And so we received some funding. And so we were able to, there again, make it a little more commonplace, develop some standard process and procedure for doing these virtual field trips. But probably our biggest success in receiving that funding was we were able to bring Rita on board. And so then she really was able to focus on not only the platform, but the tools around it, and refine that process. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to her and let her really give you the expert's viewpoint.
All right. So one of the strategies that we developed for this series of the virtual field trips is we need to know what you do before you get started. What is your topic? Who is your audience? Who are you going to focus on? And why is this topic important to them? And there are tools that you can use to do that, like surveys or just word of mouth or comments that people make when you go to virtual field trips or any events to let you know what people have an interest in. And continuing that same topic is, who are your subject matter experts, your SMEs? Now, these are not just your researchers and your speakers, but they could be your support staff, your marketing people, your communications videographers, your the person who does Christmas
Oh, your graphic designer.
graphic designers, all of those are your subject matter experts. So you need to know who your whole team is and who you need to have support you on this project. And how are you going to notify your audience? Now, what we used was constant contact. We had a database that was given to us from the Arkansas Discovery Farms program for people who were interested in ag products. And we were able to build upon that from each virtual field trip that we have. And then when will it be presented? Key thing of all your SMEs that you have on board, make sure each and every one of them knows when this is going to happen and that they have it on their calendar, because you don't want anybody showing up or not showing up on the day of and say, oh, I didn't have this on my calendar. So it's very important to make sure everybody has the same date.
And one of the things, oh, well, go ahead. Sorry. So delivering a virtual field trip, Rita, is similar, but very different from how our extension colleagues prepare for traditional in-person educational programming.
That is so very true. It's more on the basis of a live TV program than just going in front of somebody and speaking at a conference or just a group of people in a classroom. So it's prepared differently. You have to be camera ready is the term. I think that would be most effective.
Yes.
And because you have to realize this is being captured for eternity, and you want to present yourself in the best possible way. You want to look professional. We want you to look professional and polished. So we try to help you as much as we can. And part of that process is in this next part here is where we build the content. We assist our subject matter experts by making sure they understand the topic and what parts they have to play in presenting that topic. And the next key part is rehearsals. Now, as Julie says, this was a new process for a lot of our SMEs, and some of them didn't see the value in a rehearsal. And we pushed it because we knew how important it was based on the experience that they had when they did theirs. It was very important to have the rehearsals. And when I'm saying theirs, that was before I came on board. And so
the before Rita days and the after Rita days. The after Rita days are much better.
Thank you very much. But some of the SMEs, once we had the rehearsals, they said, oh my God, I can't believe how different this was than I thought it was going to be in my mind. I'm so glad you made me, because it's a requirement, have this rehearsal. So those are very important to the process. And then also we create a script or outline. And we're going to talk a bit about the script and outline a little bit more, how important that is, especially in the early days of Zoom, when there were not a lot of Zoom AI, or there were no AI components in Zoom.
So you always do a post kind of debrief with everybody involved for every virtual field trip.
Yes.
Have you ever had a on-camera subject matter expert, let alone everybody else involved, say that they did not appreciate the rehearsal?
No, we had people confess and say, I am so glad. There were people who told me I'm a professional. I do not need to rehearse. So.
And then post, they were very much thankful.
They were very much thankful. And I even had one person who did not want to rehearse and basically did not. After they saw the finished product, they says, can you fix it? I do not like how I look. I say, I'm sorry. We tried to get you to participate and you refused. So,
it's out there on the internet for eternity.
Yes.
So we wanted to just share some pictures about some of the lessons learned, because it's more fun to look at maybe pictures than to see text on the screen, although Rita did a beautiful job putting together these slides. As we kind of walk you through some of these images that were captured at our various virtual field trip series, or virtual field trips webinars, you will see our setup is maybe a little more elaborate than some of the others. So after our very first virtual field trip series, or actually during, we actually did some in-services for some of our county extension agents and our specialists on how they could deliver their own virtual field trips. But but a much more pared down version. So with just an iPhone or an iPad, or a much smaller camera. But you'll see in these pictures that ours was a little bit more elaborate, but that was just the resources that we had available to us with our virtual field trips. But one of the biggest things is having a plan. Even though you plan a lot, still having a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
Yes.
So this was an example of, we went out to the original broadcast site, if you will, where we were going to do the webinar, and we did speed tests and everything looked good. And then the day before, when we went to do our rehearsal, because rehearsal is critical, the connection, the internet connection, was just non-existent.
Right.
And so this picture is taken right before we went live, right after we had early that morning made a total and complete site change.
Yes.
So we were calling around all evening trying to find a new site with the crop that we were going to be talking about, with some of the practices and technology that we were featuring in this webinar. Found a spot that had good internet. And so that morning we were all rushing around, and you can see our videographer, Ricky, he's been hauling all that camera equipment to change our site, get set up totally different. And so this was right before we went live. But you always have to be flexible and have alternate locations, because sometimes even when you went out and tested the internet connection, the clouds are different that day or something. And so you need to switch. And so that kind of brings us to another key issue with a lot of virtual field trips, is having adequate internet connection. And so this is another example of how the technology for us has evolved over time and actually made things a little bit easier. So when we first started doing virtual field trips, we used MiFis or hotspots, and we had both, because I don't know about in your state, but in Arkansas, some parts of the state AT&T works better, and some parts of the state Verizon works better, and some parts of the state neither one work very well. But so we had hotspots with both carriers, and we would test depending on where we were at. And so we evolved from using the hotspots to a cradle point, which is just a more amped up version of a MiFi or a hotspot. And this was one of our Discovery Farms researchers out testing on top of a car, testing the internet connection before we went live. And then, but we are also we've even gone beyond Cradle Point, and now are going to use Starlink moving forward. So just kind of keeping up with the evolution of these various technologies that are available to us. You can kind of see the evolution of how we've even connected to the internet to be able to broadcast these virtual field trips. And so from that Cradle Point testing, this was the actual live virtual field trip out in the field with some of our Discovery Farms faculty, and they're highlighting some of their Discovery Farms equipment in some of those in some of that housing there behind them that you can see. And so this is just an example of some of our field setup. This is some of our subject matter experts waiting under a tent, because as you can imagine, for Arkansas, as with a lot of your states, if we're going to talk about a crop, whenever it's in the field, that's going to be, for us at least, that's going to be in the summer. And it's warm. So we're trying to provide shade, but they're all hanging out waiting for their time to be on camera. And so there again, you can see Rita and one of our videographers and some of our subject matter experts just hanging out in the shade. This was some of our group on camera live, being streamed live that's actually in front of a cornfield here in Arkansas. This is another setup that we've done for a virtual field trip. And this is actually at a water pumping station. So those are gigantic industrial water pumps behind you as part of a bayou project redirecting water from the Arkansas River. And so this was actually a lot of the same equipment set up, but I put this on here and some of these other images because this was the day, we started this series, the original Soil and Water Conservation series, in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
This virtual field trip, after we got done, this was the day that our Arkansas Extension Director at the time called us on the way back to the office and said, we're sending everybody home. So this was 2020. This was March of 2020. This was when COVID really hit, at least for us here in Arkansas, and kids did not come back from spring break. We got sent home. But because of the 2 years prior and everything that Rita had really set up with the virtual field trip series, we did not miss a beat. We kept going and still delivering these virtual field trips. So this day at the Bayou Meada pump station, these were some of our cooperating farmers that you're seeing in these pictures doing the talking. That was the highest live attendance, and it was the highest live attendance by high school science teachers and students.
Yes.
Because they were still at home, but school had started back up. And so us trying to hit that non-traditional audience of high school science teachers and students, this was really where we started to see that increase in their participation. Unfortunately, it was due to COVID, but there again, because of the processes that Rita had put in place, we did not miss anything. So we did, though, have to shift some of our delivery a little bit because all of our initial virtual field trips had all been live. All in the field, everybody together. So when COVID did hit, we did have to start, of course, traveling in separate cars. That was one of the safety precautions. Being outside as much as possible and distanced. But we started needing to pre-record some of our sessions. And so here you can see Rita working with one of our subject matter experts. You can see our equipment is pared down a little bit, so it's not quite the almost like studio production level cameras. But this also showed us that, we did not necessarily need to go be doing our virtual field trips to the extent that we had been. Like we could be a little more low tech. That, and there again, the equipment had, evolved and improved to the point that, you could catch or capture just as good of video quality with a smaller, more cost-effective device. So these are just some of the some images of us whenever we sort of pivoted. I know everybody or a lot of people are tired of hearing that word, but whenever we did switch our tactics up of how we captured our virtual field trip footage. And so here's just yet another subject matter expert. That's actually one of our county extension agents at one of our wildlife discovery farms, capturing his input. And then a little bit later, we capture the landowner, cooperating farmer there on the left with one of our extension specialists, wildlife specialists. There again, outside trying to be distance, but pre-recording some of our content. So into the tools.
Into the tools. Now, these are some of the tools from Microsoft Office that I use, 365, that have assisted me in using AI technology in these programs. So bookings, I love bookings. Bookings allow me to schedule individual meetings with my SMEs, subject matter experts, to rehearse with them, to meet one-on-one about any particular topic. And the scheduling poll within Outlook allows me to schedule a meeting with a group. So I can throw out some dates and the whole group can vote on it. And then the calendar, I love the calendar because it gives you a visual outline of your responsibilities. Planner is a great project planning tool that you can use. You can assign tasks and monitor your progress. And Teams is another virtual meeting platform that we use.
And that bookings feature has really been a game changer. Like whenever you schedule or whenever a virtual field trip gets put on our radar, like we're gonna do it. You have a kind of a standard email that you send people with that
Yes.
bookings link. And so instead of a million different emails going back and forth, you say just click here and you've already got select dates and times that you know work for you and your core team,
Right.
and then they can pick from those. And then it automatically puts appointments on people's calendars.
Right.
So these are a lot of really great tools. You just have to play around with them and learn what their capacity, and they're improving every day, I feel like.
Yes, yes, yes. And what Julie mentioned about it, putting it on your calendar. And another thing about bookings is that I can buffer a meeting or book in it. I can give myself 30 minutes, 15 minutes to prepare for that meeting before and after, so you can schedule that. And you can change up you can create booking calendars or I'm gonna say buckets for different groups or different projects. So you can have one that may have a different logo with that group bucket, and then you have a different group with a different logo on that bucket. So and it goes to my calendar. Basically, I coordinate with my SMEs first, and then I block off the times that I'm available, and bookings will look at my calendar and allow the person who needs to make the meeting pick from the times that I'm available. So that's a beautiful tool.
And these, just to repeat, these are all part of the Microsoft Office suite. So
Yes.
if your institution has a Microsoft license, then you should have access to these tools.
Yeah, I think they are all basic in 365. And then considering with Microsoft, even Excel. I love Excel because it allows me to analyze the Zoom reports. And again, at this point, Zoom is advancing in their AI ability with the Zoom reports where you can get attendance records, you can get registration records, so you can compare how many people register versus how many people actually attend. You can create maps and reports and graphs in Excel, so that helps a lot. And forms, I use that for my hybrid meetings when I have in-person and virtual events. So the forms registration that I create in forms, we track the number of people who are going to attend the meeting in person. And OneDrive, I love it because we can store and share content. And PowerPoint, it's kind of like, for me, it's like a scaffolding tool where you can build, like what we're doing today, content that you can use and see to help enhance the content that we're presenting to you. And of course, Word, which we create and edit our documents.
And these are all tools that they're just part of the Office suite that we've used forever. But they continue to improve and have new features. You just gotta get in there and kind of play around with it.
And one of the latest new features in those ones that we just looked at is Copilot. So, and that's a new AI tool that's recently become available for us all to use.
And it's like in the right-hand corner of most of them. If you open it up, in Word and PowerPoint and Excel, you just gotta kind of hunt around on there and find it.
Yeah. Okay, so marketing tools. Some people may not consider the video software a marketing tool, but I consider it to be a marketing tool because you got to edit your product to present it to the audience. Buzzsprout is a podcasting service that we're using to prepare our podcast for our series.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the podcast part of it. We've been focusing on the virtual field trip part.
Yes, yes, yes. And constant contact. This is part of our outreach for our marketing system. We create colorful graphics that we can put in an email and send out to our database, like we talked about before, that we use to announce the event, provide registration, and then after the event, we send out a link that has the video in it so that they can watch it directly from there. And also, we use our internal division calendar for our agency. And Slick Text is a pretty cool tool that people who want to add not only be on email and text or just text notification for marketing. So it's going to be a real brief little blurb that says, hey, click this link to find out about our next event. And then afterwards, we send in another little blurb that says, hey, if you want to watch the video, click this link.
One of the probably more major evolutions that we've seen Zoom implement, and we definitely use it. Looking at the podcast, so we like to kind of provide, well, and for all of our recordings, we need to provide transcripts, right?
Yes.
So, and that's an accessibility thing that everybody could be and should be doing. But like with our podcasts, we like to do it so that we can kind of pick out like key things. But when we first started using Zoom, it was just there was no consideration to accessibility. Like we're just trying to get the information out there. Well, then we learned and we started having transcribers. Like we paid and we built it into the budget to have somebody log on to Zoom and transcribe, provide closed caption.
And one of the things about the transcription process, Julie, we had to provide them a script so that they can use as a guide, especially for those scientific terms. And so that was a lot of labor on our part to get a script from all the speakers and everything before we went live.
Yeah, and that was part of that prep work that was so key. But we've seen the video conferencing platforms, and there again, more specifically Zoom, which is what we tend to use the most. They now have closed captioning built in. That's part of that development and advancement of their AI technology. So we don't pay a transcriptionist now. It's increasingly more and more accurate every time. And then it also provides an accurate transcription post webinar that we can use whenever we're putting together our podcasts, whenever we're correcting the YouTube transcript, to make sure that it's correct as well, and not, especially sometimes whenever you get specific accents, it might say that it's one word and it's absolutely not that word. So that's a huge evolution that we have seen to not only help us make our content more accessible, but it is helping us be more it's more cost effective because that's built into Zoom that we're already using.
And it saves a lot of time. Oh my gosh, it does. Okay, and so continuing with our marketing tools, we use Facebook, X, and Instagram. And another video editing software that we use is it's by TechSmith. It's called Camtasia. And TechSmith also provides Snagit, which is a screenshot imaging capture editing software. It's really cool.
And those are both cost effective.
Yes. They make things so much easier. And the two video softwares that I use, one is, they're both robust, but one is a little bit more elevated than the other as far as the features that it offers. But you can do basically the same thing in both. And Zoom, as we talked about, it has improved significantly over the years. And as you see also, I use it for the reports that it generates, distribution list builder. Part of our registration process, because Zoom has elevated their processes, we can add custom questions to our registration. And I specifically ask our registrars, do you want to be added to our distribution? So it gives them whether they want email or they want text, slick text. So because when you send out these constant contacts and the slick text, they do want you to have explicit permission from those persons that you can incorporate them in your distribution. And so that saves a lot of grief and a lot of people saying, hey, I didn't sign up for your system. Why are you sending me this stuff? So you don't have to worry about that anymore. And it generates meeting summaries for you as well. And that's a cool feature that Zoom has added recently.
And I remember when we got those customizable registration fields, we thought we were just in heaven.
All right, so the next part of this is we're going to talk about the grants that we have worked on that deal with conservation. And the first one is the Soil and Water Conservation Virtual Field Trip Series that started in 2018. And
So started in 2018 with funding from USDA NRCS. And so what we proposed originally was 3 virtual field trips per year over a 3-year period. So there again, we were trying to refine that process, be able to deliver more virtual field trips, by having a full-time person that was an expert in that type of delivery, educational delivery. And so we thought 3 years was, you know, a lofty goal, but also doable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, really, once Rita got everything sorted out, I mean, we smashed through that 3 virtual field trips a year, and we exceeded the deliverables for our very first grant, which was the Soil and Water Conservation Series. But we used our Arkansas Discovery Farms as our host sites, using the practices and technologies and tools that they use with their cooperating farmers. We kept our virtual field trips to 45 minutes to an hour, and that was so that we could fit within the standard classroom time for high school science classrooms. So there again, we targeted, and our primary audience for these virtual field trips were farmers, were county extension agents, were NRCS personnel, were crop consultants, were anybody that worked in agriculture. But we also know that, you know, once you get past an hour, retention falls off even with those audiences. But trying to hit that non-traditional audience of high school science classrooms.
Yes.
And so that's where that 45-minute to an hour time limit, that's where we were trying to stay within that.
Right. And those lesson guides that were created were free, and they're still posted. So if you ever want to go back, you can see those. And they were following the next generation science standards, 7E GRC formats.
Yeah. So Arkansas Department of Ed, so there again, this is specific to Arkansas. There again, a pre and a post COVID thing. We had our Arkansas Department of Ed had originally required the 7E, but they were wanting to move to the GRC 3D lesson formats. But then COVID hit, and they said, you know, well, you can use either one. So even to this day, we still actually format all of our lesson plans in both, because the teachers in the state of Arkansas are still using both formats. But all of our lesson guides were developed by Deidre Young, who at the time was the Soybean Science Challenge coordinator. She has since retired and is part-time with us now as our curriculum specialist, still writing lesson plans for us. We have a new Soybean Science Challenge coordinator, but Deidre still writes our lessons. And so we have a lesson plan in both formats that goes along with each virtual field trip. So there again, the teachers can follow along with that, and either with the live virtual field trip or with the recording, because all of our virtual field trips are posted on YouTube. So you can just kind of see that format there.
And she covered a lot of different topics that are not even shown there: physics, engineering. It's amazing. These lesson plans are a work of art, and they're beautiful. I would love to have been in a classroom where they had this. So this is something that you kind of wish, hey, if I hadn't learned this while I was going through high school, I'd be having a different career now. Who knows?
Well, we're thankful you are here with us. So these are just some of our numbers from our high school science students and our high school science education teachers. There again, this was our very first virtual field trip series. So admittedly, until that March 2021, we were not hitting the numbers that we had quite hoped for. But whenever 2020 hit and all education moved virtual, and teachers were looking for existing materials that were already virtual and digital, that was where we saw an increase in participation. Now, these were just our live numbers. So this was, that does not include teachers that have used the YouTube videos.
Right.
And the lesson plans, like Rita said, are on the Soybean Science Challenge website. So I know that we can track those downloads, but we didn't include those here. But I know that we did see a significant increase with our kind of non-traditional, with the science teachers and science students whenever around March 2020. And and we have continued this. We've continued kind of this format with other virtual field trip series.
Yes. And even though it's geared toward high school science, those lesson guides, we even had somebody from a university reach out to us and say, hey, can we use this? And I said, yeah, they're free. You can use them.
Yeah.
So all levels. And they're just that good of a quality that anybody can use them.
We also offer professional development hours for our teachers. Now you'll see Deidre's name on this, but so the UA System Division of Ag is a certified professional development, or an approved professional development provider for Arkansas teachers. But that's not the only professional development that we provide. We also provide for our crop consultants.
Yep.
And so we get approval through their process as well for the
CCA.
CCAs. And there's another one too, it's farmers and ranchers or something
Cool. Oh.
like that. Anyway, we go through 2 or 3 different approval processes to be able to provide continuing education or professional development units for people that attend these. And one of the benefits of those Zoom reports that Rita was talking about that they've really improved is they tell us when somebody logged in and when somebody logged off. And so we leave that up to the granting organization, but we send them the list of people or the list of names and say, you know, these people attended, and we include the login times and the logout times. And if that granting that PD or CEU granting organization says, you know, they were only in here for 30 minutes of an hour webinar, we're not going to grant them those CEUs. You know, that's up to them. That's not an us decision. We just provide the requisite information for them to be able to make that decision. But this is also something that we have started providing with these virtual field trips, because if you're going to be participating, it's kind of a marketing and a way to get our information out in front of more people. But if they're going to be attending, they may as well get some credit for it.
Yes. All right. So at this time, 2018, when we started using the Arkansas Discovery farms and producers, this is the map of the farms that were in the program at that time. And since then, they've added a few more. And this is the very first soil and water virtual field trip that we offered. That was on July 3rd of 2019, and it was entitled Irrigation Technology and Scheduling Practices. And to date, this particular virtual field trip has outpaced all the other ones, has over 2,000 YouTube views.
And so you'll see that that was actually in 2019. And so we say that the grant, and it did, started in 2018, but it really took a little over a year to kind of get everybody on board with this concept. And Rita did the lion's share of the work in kind of helping people wrap their head around it. Because, I mean, if you can imagine in 2018 coming and saying, let's do a virtual field trip, people kind of had no concept. I mean, you really spent a lot of time explaining what the heck we were even talking about.
Yeah, and that goes back to the subject matter experts who say, hey, I talk to people all the time. I talk to big groups. I go international. I don't need to rehearse. So it's back to that.
Yeah.
And the stats that we just showed you on the previous screen, these are the states that participated in this particular series. And this is the international effect that we have: Canada, Egypt, Indonesia, Nigeria, United Kingdom, and Uruguay. We had no idea that we would have this type of interest in our series.
kind of proud of it.
Yes, yes. And those were the YouTubes. Let me go back to that. I want to look through that a little quickly. So to date, for those 14 virtual field trips that we did, we've had over 14,000 views collectively for that series.
And so one of the benefits of any virtual field trip series that you do, whether it's as formal and technical as ours or if it's less formal, is the shelf life that you get. As long as the content is still accurate, you get a lot of mileage out of those videos. And we're going to talk about a little bit more how we're using the recordings. But on those 14,000 plus YouTube views, we don't know how many of those were classrooms where that may actually, it's not just 14,000 sets of eyeballs that have laid eyes on these videos. Sometimes that's classrooms where there's 20 and 30 students. So, yeah, it's just really cool whenever you think about the reach, what that 14,000 plus means.
Yes. And that's all due to the investments in technology, AI. And so Facebook Live.
Yeah, so the premise, and I don't think Facebook Live is as big of a thing as it now as it was, but whenever we first proposed the Soil and Water Conservation Virtual Field Trip Grant, actually we wrote it in 2017, I think, maybe. At the time, we were proposing that we use Zoom as our streaming platform. Our federal partners could not download and use Zoom. So if you think about when that was, of course, that was before 2020. A lot of things changed in 2020. But they were not allowed to have Zoom on their devices, on their federally issued devices, work devices. But they could access Facebook. And we were also kind of testing. Zoom had a new Facebook Live plugin. So you would start up a Zoom webinar and then, up at the top or down at the bottom, I can't remember, you click and you had to give it a Facebook page and you had to have certain permissions on that Facebook page. But anyway, we wrote the grant to say we're going to use Zoom, but Zoom's got this really cool new Facebook Live plugin that we're going to use so that our federal partners can actually see the content. And of course, as you can imagine, yes, our federal participants were able to watch it through Facebook Live, but we also there again picked up some even more non-traditional audiences by offering it through Facebook Live. And there's those numbers.
Yeah. And we did a survey, and so this shows you the impact that the viewers had as far as adopting practices and or the information if it was useful to them. So this next series was based off of a survey.
Yeah, so in 2016 or 17, I can't remember. Maybe it was later than that. Anyway, we helped our Arkansas NRCS partners with a needs assessment and we assessed the newer employees, not only for NRCS, but county extension agents and, FSA and all these different folks that work with farmers to find out what do you know about various NRCS programs? What do you not know? What would you like to learn more about? And we had so many new employees with all of those various groups and organizations and agencies that it became very apparent that we had a training need just about basic programs and partnerships that we had just like a whole new cohort of employees across the state, across organizations that needed to learn about those NRCS programs. So we proposed another webinar series. This one wasn't quite a virtual field trip series, but a webinar series where we used a lot of what we had already learned from the virtual field trip series and proposed the Arkansas Conservation Partnership series, which Rita also oversees.
And that particular series is still going on. So we're still in progress of collecting and recording for that. And to date, for the Zoom participation for the videos that we have prepared, the webinars, This is the data on that. And I love seeing the other states that were involved and the other countries that showed interest and the other countries that actually participated doing these live virtual field trips. And for the videos that we have posted so far, we're still in the process of getting those ramped up and edited and put out. We've had over 300 views for those that we have ready for the audience to view.
And Rita will be repurposing these. Another component of this particular project is to develop some online courses
That's true.
for new employees. There again, as long as the information on the videos is still relevant, we'll be repurposing those YouTube videos or those recordings and using those to develop some online courses so that as new employees come on, they don't have to just log on to YouTube and say, okay, what videos can I find? We'll have them in an LMS, an online LMS, learning management platform, and they'll be able to enroll and complete courses about and get certification using these videos, these recorded webinars as the basis.
Yeah, it's kind of like a refresher to help you make sure that you retained. And if you find areas where you didn't do as well, you need to go back and ask questions either in your agency or on the videos. Watch the videos again. Okay, so the next series is the Soil and Water Conservation Virtual Field Trip Series number 2.
Part 2.
Okay, so agriculture is a major concern globally. And so we're dealing with soil, water, and air interactions on this particular series to find out what can be done to improve those. And not only improve those readings as far as what those interactions are, but also production for our farmers. And again, for the videos that we've only had 2 so far, and we got 1 that's been posted. We had 57 Zoom attendees. And look at the number of states that were interested and in the countries that were interested in this series. It is beautiful to see that much interest that we have. And part of it is because the extension is a neutral source of information. We try to give you just a fair
Research-based information.
Yes.
Yep.
And for that 1 video that we have posted, we have over 130 views. And so for the 3 series that we have, 3 webinar series that we have in this program, we started with Soil and Water on the bottom. In the middle is the Conservation Partnership, and then Soil and Water Part 2. And let me get to my notes here real quick. So in closing, I want to say that AI has improved our efficiency as we strive to create engaging content for our traditional and non-traditional audiences of our virtual field trips. These 3 projects are successful as a result of a network of partners, which includes our producers, researchers, technicians, educators, media professionals, ag industry leaders, and others in our NRCS and UADA community. In my opinion, this joint effort has proven that virtual field trips impacts Arkansas, our nation, and our other countries. So that's beautiful. My opinion is based on the continued growth and viewership of these videos. Virtual field trips present online opportunities of learning and empowerment that can be utilized at the viewer's convenience. Informed and empowered producers and ag industry personnel help create better agriculture products.
And so I will say Rita does a very professional and refined, or does a very good job. She's very professional. Her products are very refined, but don't let the level that she's operating at after 7 years almost of working in this to intimidate or deter you. I mean, whenever we started out, it was not always pretty, and there are still even, whoopses. So just, we share this to let you know that we're a resource. It can be done, but we definitely want to encourage anybody who thinks that they could use this type of virtual education method to just dive right in and start trying to extend your reach. And there's our contact information. And you can go to our website if you want to see any of our recordings. So we've got the Soil and Water Conservation Field Trip Series, but you can also check out the Arkansas Discovery Farm program. You've heard us reference that. They've been a fantastic partner just with in the UA System Division of Agriculture. Not every state has a Discovery Farm program. Not every state that has a similar program is called Discovery Farms. That original program or that program originated out of Wisconsin, and there are some other states that have similar programs but go by different names. You can also check out Soybean Science Challenge. The Soybean Science Challenge webpage that has all of those free lesson plans that we talked about, and they're free to download, but we've also got important contact information if you want to reach out to Keith Harris is our he's not new anymore, but he's our current Soybean Science Challenge coordinator. And then you've got our ACP, Arkansas Conservation Partnership webinar series page, that link. And then we've got the Arkansas Soil and Water Conservation Virtual Field Trip Series Part 2. And
we forgot to say that we'll have lesson plans for that series as well.
Yeah, so those will be rolling out. Yeah, thank you, Rita. But yeah, check out all of our resources, and if you forget or just want to contact us directly, please do. We're happy to answer questions. Rita is a wealth of knowledge as far as virtual education delivery.